Let's do Bush. I heard him say to you, and I think it was part of our opening film here, he wouldn't change his decision on Iraq. Did that surprise you?
That was early. That was not later. That was not too long after he'd made the decision about Iraq. No, it didn't surprise me. I've heard very few presidents who make momentous decisions say, boy, that was a big mistake on my part. If you read his book, he has reservations now about some of the calls that they made. At the time, this is a very complex issue. I had been in Iraq 3 times before the war itself began. And I came back with very strong impressions every time. I didn't know whether there were weapons of mass destruction. I do know that I was with the UN team, and they couldn't find many.
Strong impressions, such as?
Yeah, well, strong impressions such as, this is the strongest one. Obviously, Saddam Hussein was a Sunni, and it's a Shiite country. So I went out to a Shiite university before the war began, and there were 1,000 students taking English language lessons and knew all about the American popular culture, and it was graduation day. And they were thrilled to have someone with whom they could practice their English and talk about the pop culture in this country. And I ditched my minder at that point. You always get assigned somebody who kind of follows you around. And this guy, because it was Ramadan, had gone off to take a nap because he was going without food all day long. So these students were out on the lawn, and they all wanted to know about pop music. They had a lot of artists that they were curious about because they hear it on the Voice of America and other places. And we talked about that a lot. And then I said to the kind of brightest and most engaging of the group, what are you going to do when you graduate? And he looked at me and his eyes went cold, and he said, I'm going to join Jihad and fight the United States. You cannot come and tell us what to do in this country, because they knew war was coming. And I said, I'm the United States. I'm from America. He said, no, not about you. It's about Bush. I don't want Bush telling me what to do. So I came back from that experience, and I also went into a souk. In the Middle East, they have lots of different kinds of souk. My favorite one in Baghdad was an auto parts souk. It must have gone on for 3 blocks in a serpentine way. If you wanted to buy a hand crank for rolling up a window in a 1948 Studebaker, you could find it in this souk. They had every conceivable auto part in the world. And they were a mix of Sunni and Shiite. They were very belligerent. They said, don't come and tell us how to run our country. We don't like Saddam, they'd whisper, but we're going to deal with this. And we don't want you coming in here and telling us what to do. So I came back, and I was dealing a lot with the White House and national security people, and I kept saying, I don't think that they're going to roll over. I think that there's going to be more resistance than you expect. And they said, no, they have to tell you that. I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I know when people have to tell me things. Then I went back in again with the UN inspection team, and that's when they did find some faint evidence of weapons of mass destruction, but not a lot. But there was so much that was unknown, Phil. My own very strong impression was we had Saddam in a box. We should have left him in that box. We had overflight going. We knew that he was isolated from the rest of the country in many ways. He was living in one castle or another, and Afghanistan was the issue. But there was a real determination to go to war in Iraq.